Think of the context around A2 milk in China.
Yes, and particularly if you had a positive announcement, it just generally is to release to the market straight off the bat. So I think some bad news may be coming. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe we'll get the thoughts from Fraser MacLeod. He's joining us from Shaw and Partners in Adelaide. Fraser, A2 milk may or may not be on your list. I'm sure you've got a view. If a company puts out a statement going into a trading halt, we've got to wait for an update on earnings. It doesn't scream positivity, does it?
No, probably not. We'll all need to wait until the announcement comes out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can't really give much commentary there.
No.
But, yeah, usually, you know, if you're trying to maybe hide something, you would do it on a Friday afternoon and or maybe after market on a Friday.
Well,
but,
at least they flagged it, right? Another sort of thematic,
they
I think, that was very 2020 today was Sydney Airport confirming that it won't pay a final distribution for 2020. I mean, there's all these sort of tidbits in the company news today that really do paint the narrative of, you know, what's been happening throughout the entire year.
Sure. I mean, I don't think there's any. No one's expecting, you know, distributions from Sydney probably for quite some time. But you know, a lot of these share prices have bounced back quite strongly. And I think really, you know, if you were at the end of the year, many investors will be thinking, "Gee, you know, how did it all go?" And bizarrely, if you had at the beginning of the year, if you'd been holding, you know, $1 worth of cash or $1 worth of bonds or $1 worth of hybrids or $1 worth of equities or $1 worth of even small cap higher risk stuff, then you've probably still got your dollar. You know, there was this huge divergence and then this huge convergence as well. And you know, at the end of the year, we've all got our money back depending on where we started with. And some assets have done incredibly well over the course of the last 6, 8, 9, 10 months. So what we think is that over the course of the next year, a few things are going to change. So we think, obviously, it's hard not to bet against the vaccine winning the pandemic war, and we're all going to go back to a market that, you know, the party's still on, the stimulus is still here, money is very cheap, and that's going to move commodities higher.
The party is just getting going, particularly maybe even in the commodity space. A few analysts that we've been speaking to, Fraser, have even been, game enough to go and say the commodity super cycle may be getting underway. Is that your take on what lies ahead?
Look, I don't know if it would be across the board, but we do certainly think that there's great value in many commodities at the moment, and that's not just a function of lots of US dollars being printed, which would be very, very positive for commodity prices. But equity valuations, certainly you would say that the pathway is clear for them to go higher. Where we do like is the clean and green theme, because what is definitely going to happen is that the world is going to be focused on the bigger long-term problem than the pandemic, which is climate change. And if we're all happy with the view that we're all going to be driving around in electric vehicles, then there has to be investment in copper, there has to be investment in nickel, there has to be investment in uranium, there has to be investment in lithium. And so if we all want to drive around in vehicles that have batteries and get a charge overnight, then these commodities need huge investments, and prices of them are going to go higher, and the equities associated with them will probably go many multiples higher over the next few years.
Fraser, you mentioned the magic word, uranium. There's been a lot of interest and it continues to grow by the day. Is there a favoured play that you like out there in the investment universe?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think I've mentioned uranium a few times over the past few months, and you know, people would over the past few years have been rolling their eyes at you if you said uranium. You think you were absolutely mental. But uranium is a key core play for us. Our probably best play within the uranium space would be Paladin. Now, Paladin, over the course of the last, really since the beginning of November, just looks like a train without a station. It just keeps going higher and higher. Even today, you know, it's touched 27 cents. So that stock's up 125% since the beginning of November, and its market cap is still tiny in comparison to what it used to be in the last uranium bull market. So it's only worth about $500 million. It's not inconceivable it could go a lot higher from here. So yes, utilities. If you own a nuclear power station, utilities all the world. They've been building lots of them, and you need guaranteed supply. So if you do believe in climate change, and if you do believe in decarbonization, if you do believe that you're going to be driving an electric vehicle, you're probably not going to be very comfortable doing it just by burning thousands of tons of coal every year per person. So there's around about 700 million pounds of supply of uranium, which is uncovered to 2030, and that's a lot.
What about the move in energy stocks recently, particularly Whitehaven Coal and other coal producers? There's been a nice pop of late. Is this an opportunity to go and sell into and maybe go and switch into those more clean and green names?
Yeah, look, Whitehaven is, or New Hope, these are not clean and they're not green. So, any thermal coal producer, you'd say over the next 10, 20 years that the outlook is very bad there. That's not to say that you can't have a great cyclical uplift. There's been a huge uplift in the likes of Whitehaven over the past couple of months. So things have probably got better there. They managed to control costs. It's not as disastrous as when, there was meant to be a big need to repairing the balance sheet a few months ago that the market was so fearful over. There's always going to be the political risk, especially around thermal. Thermal is not met coal. And has more political risk with it. But look, for now, the traders have it, and stocks like Whitehaven are going up. But you'd say longer term that the outlook for thermal coal producers is pretty bleak. No one wants to finance a thermal coal project over the next 20 years.
Well, kudos to you for being in the office, Fraser. There's a lot of people taking some long lunches these days. Tomorrow will likely be quiet. Next week will grow increasingly quiet around town. So what kind of conversations do you have with clients at the end of the calendar year in terms of positioning, in terms of, taking the pedal off the metal when it comes to, the Christmas break, etc.? Sure.
Look, I think it's always very interesting to be able to follow and maybe have a look at not just the fundamentals of the market, but just have a revisit over what client objectives are. And it's good to do a little bit of navel gazing and look back and see how we did and what we should have done better on. And it's also interesting to just have a bit of a review in terms of where director buying is, because those directors, they're pretty savvy with their own cash, and they will also be resetting for the year ahead and thinking, if you truly are looking for a bullish or bearish statement, there's a lot that you can take in terms of underlying director buying that has to be announced on the ASX.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one thematic that you think will go and take place in 2021, what would it be?
I think it's going to be a rotation to value, and it's going to be a rotation to value plays within commodities, without a doubt. So maybe, some of the what drove this market for most of this year was what's labeled growth, which is mostly tech growth, trading on very high PEs. I think now that we're going to see a rotation to value plays. So basically everything that you thought was dead, done and dusted is now going to get that big cyclical kick. And if you're looking for a real tailwind, wait until you see the political pressure that comes and the investor pressure that comes once some of these commodity prices in clean and green really start to take off. So there's the theme.
Fraser MacLeod from Sharon Partners, we are certainly glad that you came into the office today and spoke to us, as we do every time we go and chat to you. Right. Go and enjoy your break, and we'll see you in 2021.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks again.